Welcome back into this week's Liberty Flames Women's Basketball Show. I'm joined now by Alexis Sherard and Coach, Associate Head Coach. I always get this messed up. Has the responsibilities changed as the titles have changed, or is it you're just coaching basketball?
I mean, I'm coaching basketball. I've definitely been Coach Green definitely gives me more responsibility just with regards on the coaching side. Obviously, if, God forbid, there's an injury and he's not available, I would step in. So in that regards, it just puts order within our family. If something happens, we kind of know, okay, well, this is what happens, if Coach Green isn't here. But with regards to strategy and input, it's kind of an equilibrium type of thing between myself, Katie, and Andy.
And there was that happened, and not to try to bring up unfortunate incidents in practice. Usually you have a practice incident and it's going to be, well, our point guard, she's going to be out for 3 weeks.
Right. Not
many times that you go, well, we had a little incident in practice and our head coach is going to be out for 3 weeks. And then he's not going to be able to fly for a little while after that. But that was during COVID as well, wasn't it?
Correct. Or even without even injury or something tragic. I mean, if he's out recruiting, he's not at practice. I would run practice.
Gotcha.
Obviously with the input from Andy and Katie as well.
Do you remember what your record was during those, when you had to fill? You've had to fill in a few times, deaths in the family, things like that.
Over the years.
Do you have an idea of what that record is?
Honestly, I don't, Jay. I don't.
Yeah, I would. And I'd be talking to Paul Carmody. How come this isn't in the record book? Like, it's still listed as a Kerry Green win.
The only one I remember, we were in the Big South at the time. It was first round game, quarterfinals, versus Rick Reeves, so I'm assuming it was Gardner-Webb. The only game I remember is that one because Coach Green said, if you don't win, don't come back. So I do remember that one because we won and I was able to return staff. So I do remember that one.
That's been a while ago.
Yeah, that was a while ago, yes.
Because I believe that was down at High Point,
correct,
if I remember right.
Yeah, that was a while ago.
I think you did okay in all those COVID games, too, because it was those back-to-backs where we played a team twice.
Correct.
And I don't know.
Correct.
I don't know. I know we had a couple scary ones, like you win the first game by 20 and the second game went to overtime or something like that. But yeah. I'm not sure if we lost any of those.
Yeah, if I had to guess, I would say we were probably about 6-2, if I had to guess, if I'm remembering correctly, because I know down in North Florida, we lost because one girl hit 8 threes in a game, and we may have had, I want to say 6. I don't think we were 6-1, but if I had to guess, I would say 6-2.
Okay, all right. Well, that's pretty good.
Yeah, no, the ladies played well. They responded well. Sometimes when the head coach isn't there, players respond differently, but they were tremendous. I mean, we have a great group of young ladies, so there was no drop off.
It's fascinating how long this coaching staff has been together as a unit. I mean, Katie's is the newest member, but even though she's only been on the staff for, 6 years now, she's been a part of the program going back to the early 2000s when she was a player, and she might not have been here, but she would visit, and her family was still close to the program. Like, so she's been.
Pictures are still around.
Gigantic,
right? Yeah.
Murals. I don't know where the statue is. She's probably asking that, but so you don't even think it. You kind of feel like, well, Katie's. When did she leave? Yeah, I guess she did leave for a little while, but so she's been around. But you and Andy and Carrie have been together for so long, 17 years.
17.
You guys got to kind of know probably what each other has for breakfast before you even order.
Yeah, I mean, 17, especially in this business, that's very rare. 17 years, really, probably in any type of business, 17 years is very rare. But we've been blessed. And, Andy, she's like, we have like a brother-sister relationship. We can kind of guess what Coach Green is already thinking. We can kind of assume, we'll probably do this. We kind of finishing his sentences. So 17 years in tight quarters, a lot of wars, travel, trains, planes, automobiles. You get to a strong relationship over those years. And like I said, we've just been blessed. We have a great group. Our staff, no egos, on one accord. We just want to win, and it's just all about the players.
Well, and for that matter, even Sarah's been around a while. Sarah Baruta, your Diop, and Yeah, I mean, there's a
continuity.
little bit of turnover. Dan's been around for a while too. Dan Lumpkin.
His years are coming up as well.
You know, so you guys have all been together. I guess it's good to maybe have a new face every once in a while, just to kind of maybe have an influx of a couple of new ideas to kind of keep. So even Katie coming back and having some new ideas in the last 5 years, and before that, boy, I'm going to really offend somebody by not remembering everybody, but Brittany was before.
Oh, yeah.
Katie,
Brittany.
right?
Yep.
And then
you had Aaron and Monica.
Yeah. So it's kind of over the years, and Will as far as strength training coach is fairly new, right. And before that it was solo, and before so just having a few new voices, kind of with some new concepts and ideas, is probably not necessarily a bad thing, because I can see how it would be easy when you've been around the same people for so long to get. I hate to use the word rut, but you just have a routine, and then if somebody comes in, and maybe it's the players that come in and kind of change up that routine, a new group, you've got to kind of deal with them a little differently.
Yeah, you definitely need to cater to your audience, because you don't want to be a stubborn coach and say, this is my system, and no matter what type of players we have, we're just going to run the system. We kind of have to cater to the players, because some plays that worked last year don't work really well this year because it's a new group of young ladies or a different combination. So, you just have to adjust. So that definitely the players really could dictate, the style of play, or, what you're focusing on or what you're spending more time on. And then, strengths and weaknesses change from year to year just because of the players change.
Well, we're talking about Coach Green being out when he got hurt a few years ago, and you had not a similar incident, a little bit higher degree on that. Although anything's traumatic, any time, whether it's an injury or an illness or a ailment, depending on what it is, it's gonna get your attention. But for those that maybe don't know the backstory, I'll let you tell the story, because I don't know all the backstory of you had some heart issues and had to have surgery, and you're back ahead of schedule. I do know that much.
Correct.
Because the first time somebody said, well, it's going to probably be January,
right.
And we're having this conversation in December, so right. I know you're ahead of schedule.
Yes,
but take us back to the moment that you knew there was a problem.
Yeah, so I had surgery October 10th. Prior to October 10th, I like to work out a lot. Play a little rec ball here and there. During probably starting over the summer, I was just having a little shortness of breath, a little pain in my left arm. Really didn't think too much of it. That stubbornness, thinking you're still an athlete. Just kind of pushed through it. But then it was pretty consistent. But then one afternoon, I was just cutting the grass, and I had a very strong discomfort. So after speaking with my family, ended up going to the ER, and then from there things kind of progress quickly. They do kind of like a CAT scan, EKG, and I just was suffering with blockage in all three of my arteries, and one of them very severe, 99 percentile. So from there, I was basically immediately rushed to surgery, not the same day, but I had to have surgery soon after. So I had surgery on the 10th. I had quadruple bypass, open heart surgery. So that's a very difficult surgery, and the biggest thing is a recovery. But thank God, God really brought me through, and after something like that, you're really looking at life through different lenses, and you're just very grateful, appreciative. But thank God, I'm ahead of schedule. A couple of weeks, I'm recovering. And probably 2 Fridays ago was my first game, so I was back with the team, full team. I would come into the office a couple of times a week, but my fatigue level was just so great at that early stages. But I'm in cardiac rehab, just trying to get my cardio, my strength up, lifting weights a little bit. But like I said, God brought me through without a shadow of a doubt. My wife was amazing. I had a lot of support with the staff. Players were coming by my house, bringing me gifts. So there were a lot of positives, but the Lord brought me through. I had a lot of support from staff, and my family came in from New Jersey, from California. So I'm just thankful, just really, really thankful and appreciative to be here.
Was it was it considered a heart attack, or did you catch it before it got to that point?
I did not have a heart attack. I caught it before, and it was just due to genetics. It wasn't anything like I was eating poor, or the doctor said I could have been the worst eater in the world or the greatest eater in the world. Unfortunately, genes are undefeated.
Exactly.
Genes are undefeated. So
we kind of jokingly talked last night about this, the fact that it was going to happen. You didn't know that. You didn't know that it was like a ticking time bomb, so to speak.
Right.
It was going to happen. They did the surgery. They cleaned it up. They fixed it, and you're good. And I kind of was trying to think of an analogy. I was like, well, is it sort of like a 60,000-mile tune-up or an oil change? And you might have to come back in. And we started doing the math. It's like, well, it took 50 some odd years to get to this point. So when you turn 100, you might have to have this done again. But they feel pretty confident that you're in good shape for a while.
Yes, the surgery was very successful. 2 veins for my legs, 2 veins for my chest, for the quadruple, for them to bypass the clogged arteries. And they said it was successful. All is well. My heart's back, 100%. All the blood is pumping properly. So, I figure if I was coaching ladies on, just half a heart, I'm really waiting to, after my cardiac rehab is complete, I'll be coaching 100%. I'll just have that much more energy and that much more blood flow to give to the ladies.
So no restrictions?
As of now, no.
Okay. So once you've rehabbed, you can scream, you can yell, you can go back to playing pickup ball. There's
correct. Yes.
Because that's always, when you think of guys like, I'm trying to think some coaches in the past that have Phil Parcells or Bill Parcells. Bill Parcells was a good example of so you go, okay, had a little heart trouble. Mike Ditka was someone that had some heart trouble, and you kind of go, man, these guys still get stressed out. And the thought was always, if they're screaming and yelling, and are they just going to have another heart attack? But that's a different situation.
It's a different situation. It obviously depends on what procedure you had. It depends on your age. Depends on what other health conditions you may have. It depends on your weight. So there are a lot of different factors. So each situation is probably unique within itself. But I use my Apple Watch. I'm learning about my heart rate, and at this stage where I am, I don't want my heart rate to get past a certain point, which it usually doesn't. But you kind of learn your own body, and you kind of learn your recovery just to assess, because the more you learn, the smoother your recovery will go.
This is going to be very unpleasant for some people to get if they get this visual in their head. But it was probably about 15 years ago. I was, how you do. You're flipping through the channels. You do it sometimes on the bus. You're just flipping through. And we're probably looking for a basketball game in that situation, but sometimes you're just flipping through channels. The Netflix people don't know what we're talking about right now, but just, you're on a satellite, you're on a cable, you're flipping through. And I was a little bit hungry. And I'm not a big cooking channel person, but I was like, oh wow, they're cooking a turkey. And so I was like, well, that doesn't quite look right. I was like, what is this cooking show? It wasn't cooking a turkey. It was a surgery.
Oh.
I'd flipped on the medical channel, whatever that is, Discovery probably, or something like that, and they were getting ready to cut open what I thought was a turkey. I think in that case it was like a hip operation. So I'm looking at the hip, and I was like, I don't know if I want to see this or not. And so I ended up changing the channel. But are you one that you would say, let me see how they cut this guy open. Let me see. Did you learn a lot about this procedure and the surgery? Is that something you can watch?
Yes. Obviously, when I received the news, I was overwhelmed, to say the least. The doctors tell me they quadruple bypassed open heart surgery. I was just playing basketball the week before. So, any news like that at any time is going to be overwhelming, a little in shock. But I was very unfamiliar. But yeah, I did YouTube the surgery. I watched. My wife thought I was a little crazy. But, I was just so unfamiliar with that side of the world. That's just another world. The doctors here in Lynchburg, they were phenomenal. Just with regards to education, informative, giving me all the information I needed. But I definitely... on my own, YouTube, there's a lot of information online. Some of it, you got to have a pretty strong stomach to watch. And, long story short, yes, I was able to watch everything, kind of learn what they were going to do, how the procedure is going to take place prior to my surgery.
You send me a few memes from time to time, or not memes, I guess reels on Instagram, where you've got to have a little bit of a stomach to watch some of that things. People falling off trapeze acts and stuff like that.
Skateboard falls or something like that.
Skateboard falls. And I'm usually pretty good. Every once in a while I'll go, I'm going to have a nightmare about that one now, you know. So I'm usually pretty good. But the cutting open, that part, like once it had happened, I might have been okay. If they would have already been in and this is the heart beating or this is the this happening or that's the spleen and we're done, I might have been okay. But the cutting part, I couldn't handle the cutting part.
Yeah, I mean, I like horror movies. Everyone kind of knows that, so it doesn't really bother me.
Exit wounds don't mean anything to you, no.
It doesn't really bother me. But no, but I'm thankful.
Well, it's awesome to have you back. And if somebody was on a 6-month vacation, other than you've lost a little bit of weight, they might go, oh, Alexis, not that you needed to, but you've lost a couple of pounds. But they wouldn't really know that you'd gone through anything because you look just as healthy as you've always looked.
Yeah, no, and again, that's I'm just thankful for that as well. No, probably you wouldn't know. I mean, obviously, I'm a little thinner now, lost some weight, but even now my weight's coming up gradually. But they, like I said, the surgeon did an excellent job. I have like a thin, light-skinned little scar. There were no stitches, no staples. I'm getting strong every day. I'm working out, so I'm feeling better. You feel better, you look better. I mean, and you just try to make every day count.
If you've got a pain, if you've got a shortness of breath, if you've got those things, don't just assume.
Listen to your body.
Yeah.
Get your annual checkups. Don't tough it out. There are no trophies for a Tough Man Award. See your doctor.